nearly 50 degrees Celsius. The ground is so hot that the air above the rocks seems to ripple like water. In these conditions, most small creatures would search for shade, reduce their movement, and wait for the temperature to fall. But among the dry mountains of Saudi Arabia, from a beehive hidden inside an ancient stone structure, a tiny bee crawls outside, opens its wings, and begins another foraging flight. It is not an imported bee brought in from a temperate climate. It is the native Arabian honeybee, scientifically known as Apis mellifera geminitica, a subspecies that has adapted to extreme heat, drought, and scarce water over countless generations. Its body is smaller than that of many other honeybee varieties, but that smaller size helps it use less energy, move more efficiently through dry winds, and reach tiny flowers growing between rocks. Behind this seemingly ordinary flight lies more than 4,500 years of beekeeping history on the Arabian Peninsula, closely connected to mountain regions such as Sidr, Hive, and Maysan. Local communities built stone apiaries in layers along the mountainsides, and some of them look like ancient fortresses guarding hundreds of beehives. These stone walls were not built simply and preserved what local people have long considered liquid gold. As you look at these stone terraces stretching across the mountainside, try to guess how many hives an ancient apiary like this could hold. Then leave your answer in the comments before we reveal the most astonishing survival secret of these bees. In Saudi Arabian culture, honey is far more than a sweetener. It is connected to health, religion, hospitality, and respect for the person receiving it. Honey is mentioned in the Quran as a substance associated with healing for humankind. Because of this, people use it in traditional dishes, eat it with bread and dates, mix it into drinks, and combine it with herbal preparations. A jar of high-quality honey may also be presented as a prestigious gift on important occasions. Giving valuable honey is not simply offering food. It is a sign of generosity, hospitality, and respect. Among the most famous varieties are Sidr honey and acacia honey. Their value comes not only from sweetness or color, but also from the flowering region, the harvest season, purity, aroma, and the reputation of the beekeeper. Some jars are highly sought after, not because of clever advertising, but because they represent a specific mountain region, a very short flowering season, and thousands of bee flights made under harsh conditions. Yet the greatest value created by these native bees may not be found inside the honey jar at all. Each time a bee enters a flower, tiny grains of pollen cling to its legs, chest, and body hairs. When it flies to the next flower, some of that pollen is transferred to the flower's reproductive structures, beginning the process that can lead to fruit and seed production. One bee cannot create an entire harvest, but thousands of bees making countless flower visits every day can influence the fruit set of an entire orchard. A single grain of pollen may appear worthless on its own, but millions of grains moved at the right time can become fruit, seeds, food, and income for human communities. Outside there is desert, but inside many modern agricultural areas in Saudi Arabia, crops are grown in greenhouses equipped with irrigation systems, ventilation, temperature sensors, and humidity controls. Humans can manage water, fertilizer, and temperature with technology, but many crops still depend on one very natural process: pollination. This is where native bees have an advantage. They are better adapted to high temperatures than many bee varieties from temperate climates, and can remain active under conditions that may weaken other colonies. However, heat tolerance does not mean they can be treated carelessly. Hives inside greenhouses still need protection from direct sunlight, a stable water supply system. They need no electricity, no software, and no programming, yet they perform the precise task of moving pollen from one plant to another. Each flight may last only a few minutes, but when thousands of flights are repeated every day, they create a pollination workforce that modern machines still struggle to replace completely. If you once believed bees were valuable only because they produce honey, press the like button now, because the next part will show you how these tiny insects are also quietly helping to protect plants, soil, and the future of an entire dry landscape. Outside the greenhouse, native bees continue visiting wild shrubs, fruit trees, and other plants scattered across the mountains. Once pollinated, these plants gain a better chance of producing fruit and seeds. Birds and small animals eat the fruit, carry the seeds away, and spread them into new areas. After a rare rainfall, some of those seeds may germinate, young plants begin to grow, their roots hold the soil together, erosion slows down, and new shelter becomes available for other forms of life. This chain begins with something as small as a bee landing on a flower. One flower visit can move a grain of pollen. That grain of pollen the soil from being carried away by wind or water. In a dry ecosystem, these small links are extremely important. If pollinating insects decline, plants may reproduce less successfully. Protecting native bees is therefore not only about saving an insect, it is about preserving the natural ability. A colony is also a much larger economic chain. There are people who build the hives, transport the colonies, inspect the queen, manage water supplies, control disease, harvest the honey, filter it, test it, bottle it, and distribute it. Honey festivals and beekeeping tourism can create additional work for guides, sellers, transport services, hotels, and restaurants. A small colony of bees can connect agriculture, commerce, culture, tourism, and ecology within one value chain. But the question that fascinates scientists most is this: how can such a small body continue functioning in temperatures above 45 degrees Celsius? The answer does not lie in one single mechanism, but in a complete survival system that operates from inside the cell to the behavior of the entire colony. When temperatures rise to extreme levels, the bee's body strongly activates genes associated with heat shock proteins, commonly known as HSPs. Among them, gene groups such as 2LFL have attracted attention in research on heat stress resistance. Proteins inside cells have delicate structures. When the temperature becomes too high, they can lose their shape, stop functioning, or break down. Heat shock proteins act like an emergency repair team. They help stabilize protein structures, support damaged proteins, and reduce disruptions to normal cell activity. In simple terms, when extreme heat attempts to damage the bee's biological machinery, HSPs help keep that machinery running. This is important because if too many proteins are damaged at once, the cell can no longer carry out its most basic life functions. The native bee does not survive heat only by protecting its cells. It also limits the amount of heat produced during periods of activity. Continuous wing beating, long-distance flight, and a high metabolic rate can all increase internal body temperature. When the surrounding air is already extremely hot, the bees tend to reduce their activity, conserve energy, and regulate their metabolic rate to avoid building up even more heat. This is similar to an engine lowering its power when it begins to overheat. They also change their foraging schedule. Instead of flying during the hottest part of midday, native bees often concentrate their activity in the early morning or late afternoon, when temperatures are lower. A flight made at the wrong time can cause a bee to lose water rapidly, use too much energy, and fail to return to the hive. Avoiding the hottest hours is not laziness. It is a survival decision. Their smaller bodies, adjusted activity levels, and altered foraging schedules all help individual bees reduce the risk of overheating. But protecting individual bees is not enough, because the hive also contains wax, stored honey, and especially larvae that are highly sensitive to temperature. If the brood area remains too hot for too long, the development of an entire generation of young bees may be affected. To solve this problem, worker bees create a cooling system based entirely on water and wing movement. When the hive begins to heat up, a group of worker bees leaves in search of water. They collect it, bring it back, and spread small droplets across the wax and the areas that need cooling. Other bees then line up and fan their wings continuously. The airflow causes the water to evaporate. As the water evaporates, it removes heat, creating a process known as evaporative cooling. There is no compressor, no electricity, no electronic sensor, only water, wings, and the coordinated effort of thousands of bees. One bee can carry only a small amount of water, but hundreds of repeated trips can create an entire cooling system for the colony. Pay close attention to the bees lined up at the hive entrance, fanning their wings. This is not random movement. They are generating airflow, helping push hot air outward, increasing water evaporation, and protecting the brood area. If you find this mechanism astonishing, share this video with someone who still believes bees do nothing more than collect nectar. What happens inside a beehive is far more complex than it appears from the outside. This coordination allows the colony to maintain a more stable internal environment under harsh conditions. A single bee may be tiny, but the colony functions like one unified living organism. The heat tolerance of Apis mellifera geminitica is valuable not only to today's beekeepers, it also represents a native genetic resource that must be protected. Colonies that remain healthy, tolerate heat well, function consistently, and use local floral resources efficiently can be selected for breeding. During queen rearing, beekeepers choose suitable larvae, place them into queen cups, and allow worker bees to feed and care for them under special conditions. If beekeepers focus only on production and ignore local traits, they may weaken the valuable adaptations that the desert environment has selected over many generations. Heat tolerance, drought adaptation, flexible foraging schedules, and efficient use of local flowers cannot be created in just a few seasons. They are the result of long-term natural selection. Protecting queen lines therefore means protecting a living archive of biological information. Scientists are continuing to study how the bees' stress response genes are activated or suppressed when exposed to high temperatures and intense ultraviolet radiation. This work is connected to gene expression and epigenetics. The main questions are how these bee cells continue functioning at around 45 degrees Celsius, how proteins avoid breaking down too quickly, and how repair and antioxidant mechanisms operate under extreme stress. By understanding these processes, researchers may discover new clues about natural antioxidant compounds, protein protection, and the ways biological cells increase their resistance to stress. This does not mean that bees will immediately provide a cure for human disease. Science is not about taking an early discovery and turning it into a miracle claim. But the mechanisms that allow these bees to survive extreme heat may provide valuable data for agriculture, cell biology, zoology, and the study of heat stress. A creature barely more than 1 centimeter long may carry biological answers that humans are only beginning to understand. That is another reason why the value of these native bees goes far beyond the amount of honey collected in a single season. Still, their heat tolerance should not be exaggerated. Adaptation does not mean immortality. If water disappears, flowers vanish, hives remain exposed to direct sunlight for too long, or disease spreads through the colony, the bees can still collapse. Parasitic mites, wax moths, and other pathogens can still destroy a hive. Heat shock proteins cannot replace water. Genetic adaptation cannot replace food. And 4,500 years of history cannot save a colony if humans manage it carelessly. To harvest honey, beekeepers must protect flowering plants. To help bees cool the hive, they must provide water. To preserve native genetics, they must control disease, choose breeding colonies carefully, and avoid uncontrolled crossbreeding. No living creature survives on slogans. Conservation must be supported by real action. Beekeepers can benefit from traditional knowledge, but they must also use temperature monitoring, colony health checks, flowering records, and proper water management. The ancient stone routines inside its body are helping its cells survive extreme temperatures. It only knows how to search for water, find flowers, carry pollen, and return to the hive. Yet behind that tiny flight lies a harvest, a jar of honey, a family, a traditional profession, an ecosystem, and the ability of an entire landscape to recover. Protecting this bee is not only about protecting honey, it means protecting native genetics, ancient knowledge, local livelihoods, and a relationship between humans and nature that has lasted for thousands of years. Only in honey. And the next time you see a bee landing on a flower, do not see only a tiny insect. Remember that inside its body is a survival system capable of functioning in temperatures close to 50 degrees Celsius. Inside its hive is a cooling system powered by water and wings. And behind every flight is a legacy more than 4 millennia old.